Welcome back. All right, so I did go to the Abbotsford game tonight. The Abbotsford Canucks hosting the Bakersfield Condors. Sparsely attended because Abbotsford games this year, the attendance has definitely dropped off from where it was. But very fun game, good atmosphere, and in the end, they won the game. It was a chess match, 2-1, but they won the game, and it was entertaining. It was our son's 18th birthday, so happy birthday, Gabriel, all that fun stuff, and Yvonne actually had Happy Birthday Gabriel put on the board there. So it was kind of a nice night. And yeah, so every now and then I get to go to an Abbotsford game. Season ticket holder, and there I am. One thing that I do enjoy about seeing these games is seeing how many guys are playing for, in this case tonight, both Abbotsford and Bakersfield, who've had NHL careers very recently, and seeing guys playing for teams that I'm like, oh, that's where he ended up. All right, good to know. So let's go ahead and jump into tonight's action. Buffalo and Detroit, and I watched the first period and a bit of this one before we left. So, Luukkonen versus Mrazek. Mrazek making his re-debut with the Detroit Red Wings. And then we had the Goathead versus the Stadiums as well. So, Buffalo wearing their Goathead uniforms on the road, their nice black ones, and Detroit wearing their Stadium jerseys. I'm telling you, they should keep those as a third, or play around with a little bit. I think there's a really nice jersey in there for Detroit. Anyways, Tarasenko fires one high on the net drive. The Wings score. It's waved off for goalie interference. There was no challenge there. The shots are 3-1 Detroit at 4 minutes. The Sabres press at 5 minutes. The Wings press are kept to the outside. Soderblom has a 4-on-2 chance that's denied. And then at 7:38, Thompson wires one from the slot on a rush. Byron with the assist. And I would imagine some Detroit fans watching that going, yeah, it seems about right. We get a bunch of opportunities, and then the puck's in our net. Soderblom to Larkin near miss. The Wings press with 9 minutes left. Kasper's denied and close. The rebound's cleared. And then at 12:36, Marco Kasper. It's a slot shot. He deflects in. Edvinsson and Kane with the assists. I'm telling you, this Kasper kid, he's starting to come through here. Sabres press to respond, but at 15:40, on a rush, DeBrincat buries one for his 30th of the season. Kane and Kasper with the assists. The Wings look for another with 1:37 left. Detroit gets a power play, and they score on it. At 19:07, Kane roofs one short side. DeBrincat and Larkin with the assists. But 17 seconds later, Buffalo scores. Norris on a pass from behind the goal line. Benson and Thompson with the assists. It's a 3-2 lead for Detroit, and we're only after the first period. Second period, Shines denied on a breakaway. Larkin to Raymond, near miss there. The Wings draw a power play. That's killed off. No shots on net. But at 10:54, Tarasenko makes it a 4-2 score. Larkin with the assist. And then, on a power play, Buffalo answers. Benson from Power and McLeod at 18:12. So it's 4-3 in favor of the Detroit Red Wings after 2. In the third period, things just go off the rails for Buffalo. It's a power play goal at 1:36. Kane from DeBrincat and Raymond. And then at 5:39, Kasper gets the second of the game. DeBrincat and Kane with the assist there. Detroit scores on another power play. So the power play has had its struggles over this 6 games that they were losing. Tonight, not so much. Seider scores from Larkin and Raymond at 14:31. Detroit wins 7-3. They go to 31-28-6 with a much-needed victory. Buffalo drops to 25-33-6. They're in free fall. According to Money Puck, the deserve to win-o-meter had Detroit at 78.8%. Your 3 stars, Kane, who had 2 goals and 3 assists, DeBrincat, who had a goal and 3 assists, and Kasper, who had 2 goals and an assist on the night. Shots on net favored Detroit the whole way, 10-9 in the first, 10-9 in the second, 9-8 in the third. They outshoot Buffalo 29-26. Power plays, Buffalo 1 for 3, Detroit 3 for 5. The hits, 17-16 Detroit. Luukkonen, 22 saves on 29 shots. Mrazek, 23 saves on 26 shots. Welcome back to Detroit, Peter Mrazek. All right, next up, Vancouver and Calgary. So not much cleared up after tonight at all in terms of this battle for a playoff spot. Lankinen versus Wolf. So Lankinen plays on back-to-back nights. Turns out you can do that with goaltenders, and I really honestly think teams should do that more often. At any rate, at 13:33, the Canucks open the scoring. Suter from Marcus Pettersson and Hronik. That lead does not last. At 17:53, Kadri scores from Anderson and Ball. Now, during that first period, Elias Pettersson gets hurt. He did not return to the game. I haven't seen an update on him yet. Obviously, Canuck fans are going to be concerned about DPD because he's been one of their best defensemen. Second period on the power play at 10:32, DeBrusk gives the Canucks the lead again. Hughes and Pettersson with the assists, and that's Elias Pettersson, the $11.6 million cap hit, as everybody brings up. Then on the power play that the Canucks have at 13:58, the Flames score shorthanded. Huberdeau from Rooney and Weegar ties the game at 2, and then on a power play that follows, Calgary would score at 16:01 as Huberdeau from Weegar and Kadri. So that makes it a 3-2 lead for the Flames. In the third period, there's only one goal. It ties it. At 13:16, it is Pettersson. Yep, Elias Pettersson with a goal to go with an assist. The assists to Höglander and Mancini. We go to overtime. The overtime solves nothing. The Canucks controlled most of that overtime. Yvonne was watching on the phone during what we were watching in Abbotsford, so I saw a lot of the overtime, and the Canucks had the puck most of the time. Then we go to the shootout, and in round 4, Connor Garland, he gets the winner. 4-3 shootout victory for the Canucks. They go to 30-24-11. They tie Calgary, but Calgary has a game in hand, so they keep that playoff spot. 30-23-11 as everything just tightens up in the West. 82.1% on the deserve to win-o-meter for the Canucks. 3 stars are Kadri with a goal and an assist, Huberdeau with 2 goals, and Quinn Hughes with an assist. Shots on net, 12-7 Calgary in the first, 7-5 Calgary in the second, 17-4 Vancouver in the third, and they had both shots in the overtime. Final shots 31-23 for the Canucks. Power plays, Vancouver 1 for 4, Calgary 1 for 3. The hits 29-18 Calgary. Lankinen 20 saves on 23 shots. Wolf 28 saves on 31 shots. Pettersson may not have gotten a star, but tonight's the first time I've been able to wear this in a video since I got it. I've been collecting Pettersson collectibles because, all of a sudden they're not wanted and all that. So what I've learned over the years with collecting things is, whether it's a team that's down or whatever it is, collect it. When stuff's on sale and somebody's like, nobody wants it anyways. It's sort of like there was one time I went into a sporting goods store and I bought a scarf in May. And they're like, why are you buying a scarf? And I'm like, because it's on sale for $5 and it's going to be winter again. So it's a $5 scarf. Anyways, so yeah, there you go. Pettersson wearing the neck chain. All right, let us move on. Next game, the Utah Hockey Club at home against Anaheim. Husso versus Vejmelka. So Husso with his first game in net for Anaheim. Utah scores first at 11:03. It's McBain from Cole and Doan, and that's the only goal of the first period. So Husso has tested a bunch in that first period and comes out pretty well. Second period, Utah would score to make it 2-0. Kerfoot from Gunther and Hayden at 14:31, but pretty quickly after that, Anaheim answers at 15:53. It's Killorn from Carlson and Gauthier, so Leo Carlson stays hot. Then in the third period, on a power play, Anaheim ties it. McTavish from Zegers and Lacombe at 3:22. However, Utah would get a power play, and they would answer. Gunther restores the lead for Utah at 3-2. Sergachev and Keller with the assists at 7:03. That's as close as things are for Anaheim. Utah wins this one 3-2. They go to 29, 25, and 11 to stay in the hunt for this spot that these teams are fighting over. Anaheim 28, 30, and 7 with the loss. They've now fallen 2 games below 500. The fade seems to be starting for Anaheim. Deserve to win-o-meter says Utah, 65.7% for Utah. Your 3 stars are Gunther with a goal and an assist, Kerfoot with a goal, and Hayden with an assist. Your shots on net, all Utah in this one. They outshoot Anaheim in every period. 17-8 in the first, 14-7 in the second, 8-6 in the third. Final shots 39-21 in favor of Utah. Power plays, Anaheim 1 for 2, Utah 1 for 3. The hits 24-20 for Anaheim. Husso saves 36 out of 39. Vejmelka saves 19 out of 21. So yeah, Utah keeps pace with the Canucks, and they get a point closer to Calgary in that race for that last playoff spot in the West. All right, last game of the night, Montreal in Seattle. This game ends up being bonkers. I could have called that. Seattle games can be bonkers. So it's Dobish versus Decord. Seattle gets the only goal of the first period at 4:54. Montour scores from Eberle. That's it. Then we go to the second period. Tolvanen scores from Everly and Stevenson at 4:47. So it's 2-0 for Seattle. Cue the comeback for Montreal. On the power play first, at 7 minutes and 11 seconds, Laine scores from Suzuki and Hudson. And that's right, I say 7 minutes and 11 seconds because if I say 7:11, you're going to get hungry, especially at this time of night. At 11:21, Newhook scores from Laine to tie the game at 2, and then Montreal will get the lead. Slavkovsky from Caulfield and Hudson at 14:04. That line stays red hot. So it's 3-2 Montreal after 2, and early in the third, they get an insurance goal. Slavkovsky from Struble and Suzuki at 7:18. However, Seattle will get a power play, and Newman gets his first National Hockey League goal. Eberle and Montour with the assist at 10:53. All of a sudden, it's 4-3. So when I turn this game on, Seattle's pressuring. Seattle's looking like they want to tie this game. Tolvanen's denied. The Habs rush after that. The Kraken with a power play with 2:29 left. And on the face-off win, it becomes a 6-on-4 as you pull the goaltender. And on that power play, with the goaltender pulled, Beniers tips one in to tie it. Dunn and Montour with the assists at 17:48. We're in a 4-4 tie. The Habs look to respond. There's a press by Montreal in the final 30 seconds, but we're going to overtime. In the overtime, a puck gets pushed forward by Stevenson, who still, last I looked, doesn't have an assist. But Montour scores 5 seconds into overtime on a breakaway. Beautiful goal for Montour and a real kick in the teeth for Montreal in this one. They were looking for those 2 points, and they lose that lead in the final few minutes of the third period, and then they don't get that extra point in the overtime. With the 5-4 overtime win, Seattle goes to 28-34-4. With the overtime loss, Montreal 31-27-7. They're not in dire straits or anything. They just would have wished they had 2 points instead of 1. According to the deserve to win-o-meter, 74.4% for Seattle. Your 3 stars, Newman, the first star with a goal, and it's his first National Hockey League goal, so totally agree with that. Eberle had 3 assists to be the second star. Montour, 2 goals, 2 assists, including the game-winning goal. 4 points, he's the third star. Shots on net, 15-5 Seattle in the first, 15-13 Montreal in the second, 6-5 Seattle in the third, and they had the only shot of the overtime. That's all they needed. Final shots, 35-25 for Seattle. Power plays, Montreal 1 for 2, Seattle 2 for 3. Hits, 23-17 Montreal. Dobesh, his stats take a bit of a hit tonight. 30 saves on 35 shots. Decord, 21 saves on 25 shots at the other end. So there you go. You're all caught up on what happened tonight in the National Hockey League, and you got a little bit of something about a game in Abbotsford as well, which was enjoyable. And, Kimber came down and talked to me in between the first and second period, and if you're like, who's that? A friend of mine from work back in the day, and always enjoy talking hockey with him. In fact, when the channel first started out, my first thought was, if this really hits, Kimber and I could just, hang out and talk hockey. That could work. And who knows, at some point, that may still happen. Stay tuned. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much. As always, I will talk to you again soon.